Welcome to Bruins Overtime Live, presented by buyatoyota.com. For offers not seen on TV, visit buyatoyota.com alongside Billy Jaffe and Andrew Raycroft. I'm Dale Arnold. 8-1 your final tonight in Winnipeg. I sort of feel responsible for this one. I'm going to take the L.
You should.
I should.
You want to reenact your comments about 4 hours ago, partner?
I am just ahead of Jeremy Swayman and everybody else in a Bruins uniform tonight. I can't think of a single guy who turned in a stellar performance.
No. I can't either.
No, you flush it. Leave
third
it.
period especially.
Yeah, the third period got out of
third period got totally. Yeah, it's beyond, whatever the word is, beyond a clunker. Yeah, I know it's late night TV now, but it was bad. And, so there were some good moments first, second period. But in total, third period was poor, an understatement.
Yeah, no, they got to hand it to them. At least they showed up in some physicality and pushed back a little bit that way. But defensively, the first goal in the third period to make it 4-1, you could see the air came out of any comeback or any thoughts, and that was it. And they were already on the plane to Seattle at that point.
Well, let's start with Mark Scheifele because he had himself. Look, there was a bunch of guys.
Their centers dominated the Bruins centers. And he led the way.
He had a pair of goals. We mentioned now 52 multi-goal games in a Jets uniform, second only to Dale Hawerchuk. He had 2 here tonight.
Yeah, and if he was lamenting not being selected for Four Nations Canada team, he was.
And they had a bunker third period at home last time out, just like the Bruins did tonight against Columbus.
They were exhausted. I mean, they were back-to-backs and everything, and
they lost games. They had a lot to prove tonight on home ice.
They did, and Connor and Scheifele were dominant.
Big boys showed up.
They did. They were absolutely dominant, and Scheifele roofed that one after the Bruins. They didn't hold the line well. They didn't gap up well. And then here you get a great chance at one end of the ice from Zadorov, and you're like, okay. And then there's, Hellebuyck was awesome when he had to be. He just was. And the Bruins here, they think they have it nullified. But now look, they're running around. You talked about 45 Kepke floating. He puck watched. He completely went over and watched on that side, leaving Scheifele over on the other side. And we talked in the pregame about how really good Winnipeg is at bringing pucks to middle ice. I know that's just outside the circle, but I'll still consider that from the slot area inside that dot.
I think they'll give it to him.
Star of the game presented by Subaru of New England. Fall in love with a brand new Subaru. Mark Scheifele. They've only played 13 games, as you just heard Brick and Judd say, so far here at home. And in those 13 games, Mark Scheifele, 12 goals, 9 assists, 21 points, and a +7. 13-game home point streak, longest in the NHL this season. He was great. A bunch of guys wearing Winnipeg Jets uniforms were great. And thus the recipe for an 8-1 victory tonight. Yeah,
they were absolutely ready for it. The Bruins had a few times had legit pushback, but they had nobody to push back against these guys. Then Namestnikov was really good, but it starts with the biggest guy. I'm talking their big center in Scheifele, and then Namestnikov. Lowry did his job as the 3 slot. The Bruins just had no answer for them down the middle.
Well, we mentioned pregame that the guy who is leading the way offensively for this team, despite what you saw from Scheifele tonight, is Kyle Connor. And he really got the ball headed downhill here in the third period.
Yeah, this was it. This was the game. The Bruins, they talked about it. Perfect face-off down low. Great job by Zadorov getting it to Brad, and they don't time it. You have to have perfect timing there. Brazeau has to hit right at the exact time if you're going to make that play around your blue line in the defensive zone against this team who is reloading as well as Winnipeg was. And half a second later, second and a half later, it's in the back of the net. It's 4-1, and any thoughts of another comeback were down the drain.
And, oh, by the way, a slot shot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I hadn't thought about how many. Easily 5 or 6.
Slot shot.
Yeah.
But that played to Razor's point, and we were watching it. When it works, it looks beautiful. That touch pass from the wall that Brad tries to do with Brazeau, but when it doesn't, and the margin for error on that is minimal. I mean, you're talking inches, like literally right there, because you think the touch pass is going to work, and sometimes you're actually better in that case getting it, holding it, and then making a decision instead of just getting rid of it like that, because it breaks down, and that's exactly what happened.
And it works really well when you're getting closed on, but Brad wasn't getting closed on. Winnipeg held their distance, stayed back off of it, gave themselves an opportunity to jump on it and take it away.
By his lofty standards, Connor Hellebuyck had struggled a bit over the previous 5 games. He is the defending Vezina Trophy winner after all, and tonight he looked like it.
He did, and he was very good early on. 2 big saves, one on McLaughlin, one on Brad Marchand. He was good despite that. This is what he looks like on a nightly basis. He's very consistent. The team doesn't give up a lot of odd man rushes in front of him. 1 on 24 is where you end up with a .925 save percentage, and he was very good. The save on Zadorov that we saw, timely saves that allowed Connor Hellebuyck to continue to put his flag on the Vezina Trophy at this point with 18 wins already.
Yeah, he was stout. He really was. He was simple in his presentation, boring as he likes to call it, but built. He was absolutely. He was again, I'll use the term stout in net. You could tell how focused he was, led by him, and then the big guys. Razor said all the big guys showed up for Winnipeg.
3-0 in his last 3 starts, 1.63 goals against average, .926 save percentage. And that included 23 saves on 24 shots tonight against the Boston Bruins. Hot Take presented by Wasabi Technologies, the official cloud storage partner of the Boston Bruins. Things broke down physically here in the third, and the Bruins didn't gain anything from this.
I don't think so either. Trent Frederick getting after it with young David Gustafson. They cross-check each other. Frederick, it's out of your screen now. He ends up going. I was trying to look it up. I don't think Gustafson has had a fight. He hasn't. He's already played in the NHL. I mean, he's a Swedish kid. I don't think the Jets liked it, Razor. I don't think that the guy who has fought regularly like Frederick, and then Gustafson, who stands up for himself, but then these 2 guys get going. There was a conversation between Stanley and Kastelik, no question about it. And then Kastelik, you could see, I don't know if we have the other angle or not, finally said, I better drop my gloves before this 6'7" guy does. And it's a spirited tilt. But the Jets, I think, were ticked off about the first one.
And then on the ensuing face-off, the captain, Adam Lowry, doing captain things.
Yeah, he does this because of the situation with Frederick and Gustav in a 6-1 game at home. So he stands up for his team, and Zadorov's the one left on the Bruins that's as big as Lowry. So they go at it, and no one gets hurt here, and everyone gets the point proven. And the Winnipeg Jets, they don't get revenge, but they just stand up for their Gustafson teammate.
And they scored 2 more goals after all the fights.
Yeah, and you could tell they were pissed off because Scott Arniel on one of the power plays put his second unit out there to begin, and then after they scored another goal, he started his first unit. He's like, look, this is what I feel I'm going to do right now.
And we saw the 2 coaches jawing at each other on the benches. Yeah. Joe Sacco and Scott Arniel were really mad at each other.
Looked like Arniel started it, like the communication. I don't know if it was about the fight. I don't know if it was about something. I'm not sure. You can't tell, obviously, sitting here. But, yeah, it looked like, to me at least, that Scott started that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he certainly did. And you assume it's that. But, again, the NHL game, when it gets to 8-1, usually there's something along these lines happens. Guys are frustrated and annoyed and want to get out of there.
Plenty more to come on Bruins Overtime Live. We'll get reaction to the Bruins' loss tonight against the Jets, plus Andy Brickley will go one-on-one with head coach Joe Sacco after the break.